Deserter by Junji Ito is an earlier collection of his work. I'm glad I read that first because the first couple pages are older art style, some of his earlier stuff. The first one's called Biohouse. This one was pretty creepy because of the artwork. It's really unpolished, and that makes it even more sort of what's the word? It makes it more unhinged because it's like rougher in terms of his art style, which I really liked. The second one's called Face Thief. That one's really good too. It's about this creepy entity at the school that basically copies the faces of whoever they want. That one had a really good ending too. I really like that one. Really cool execution and style. I'm trying to figure out what the third one is. Third one's The Sandman. Didn't really like that one. That one was okay. It's about a guy who's got insomnia because there's when he falls asleep, a being tries to leave his body. And this girl tries to help stay awake, so it has some Nightmare on Elm Street vibes, but overall, it's only okay. Then there's one about suicide. Let me see what this one's called. The Devil's Logic. Yeah, that one was only okay. That one's about suicide. It wasn't really interesting. The Long Hair in the Attic. This is like a classic, simple horror story about a girl who gets dumped. And but he's a playboy, right? He tells her to grow her hair long because he likes long hair. So she grows it really long, and then he dumps her, and then the hair has a mind of its own. And it's a really creepy ending. I really like the buildup of the hair and everything. The one after that is called Scripted Love. This is another great one. Scripted Love is really good. See, that's the interesting thing. If this is a collection of Junji Ito's earlier works, then some of these might have even influenced movies and TV, which is pretty crazy. Scripted Love is about a high school student, or grade school, whatever. No, it's middle school. But he basically writes really great plays. So he's a bit of a playboy because they look to him to write school plays, and then he flirts with the actresses a lot. So he dumps one for another girl, that because he's a playboy, and she gets obsessed with him. But then he leaves her a videotape, like a 6-hour conversation, talking with her, as a way of, it's like a weird way of him to say you can just have this tape. You can, if you miss me too much, use the tape. I think this plot really was really great, really creepy. It definitely influenced the movie Rent-A-Pal. Came out in 2020, so that's really cool. The next one's called The Reanimator's Sword. Didn't quite like this one. This one is a fantasy element thrown in there. I didn't really like that one at all. A Father's Love. Okay, A Father's Love is a really good one because it's basically a lot different from when your usual Junji Ito. He usually does body horror. This one's a more psychological, sort of emotional story. I noticed that it's longer, a lot longer than his other short stories. But yeah, this one was really interesting because it was basically about guilt and really rich themes. It was longer. It was really well developed. It definitely stuck out because of the rest. Usually when you read a Junji Ito collection, they're really short and punchy, with really crazy endings. But this one was it took its time. It had a really deep story. It was really interesting. Definitely more memorable. Definitely one of the more memorable stories. One of the highlights of the book collection for sure. The next one's called Unendurable Labyrinth. I don't remember what this one's about. Let me go find it quick. Unendurable Labyrinth. No, I don't remember what this one's about. Must have not been a good story. But the one after, okay, The Labyrinth. Oh yeah, this one was about they throw some religious stuff in there. I didn't really like this one. This one was really short and quick. But the one that comes after, another highlight of the collection, it's called Village of the Siren. This one was fantastic. This one might be the influence of Midnight Mass. It's really crazy how influential. I'm not accusing Mike Flanagan of reading this collection because I think Midnight Mass came out in 2021. So he's been writing it for years, but parallel thinking, right? So this one is about a young man who goes back to the village that he grew up in, and everything's different because there's a new mayor in town, and he unlocked something in the basement of the church and burned it down. So now there's a supernatural creature sort of influencing the entire town, and they're sort of falling under its spell, and they're sort of, a cult is formed basically, and him and his other childhood friends are there, and they're trying to figure out the mystery of the pit. It's a really, really interesting, it's a lot different from his other usual works because this one's more of a monster creature feature. It's really cool. I really liked this one. This one was really memorable. It's a lot different from his other sort of works. Then there's one called Bullied. Bullied is not that great. It's about a woman who basically had a clinger of a childhood friend, and she bullied him a lot. Wasn't that interesting? And then the last one's called Deserter, probably what's the name of the book, and that's also what the front cover is about. So basically, Deserter is a story about a young man who deserts from the war, and he hides out in the other building, and every night he comes in for dinner, but there's like this trio of young people that have a grudge against him, and we find out why, and basically they pretend that the war is still on even though the war ended already. So he's been up there hiding every day, thinking, you know, like they make up stuff once in a while, they change the routine, have inspections, things like that. So it's a really creepy it's a really creepy story. I really like this one. Definitely wasn't the best one, but you know, they called it the collection Deserter for a reason, so that's probably why. But my favorites definitely were A Father's Love and the Village of the Sirens. Those two were really, really great, and a lot of smaller, little punchy ones too. So this is a really good collection. I would probably end up buying this one in the future when it comes on sale. So those are my thoughts on Deserter by Junji Ito.